Cello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today I'm continuing with my little decks that I connect with when I'm transforming series or mini series. And today we're exploring decks that can really help you when you're going through that Phoenix Rising phase. And of course, we always love the Phoenix Rising. So I've chosen a few decks today to talk a little bit about that phase. And, let's just have some fun. Without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so what we're kind of dealing with today is when we're talking about that Phoenix Rising phase. The card that I've chosen to associate that with is the Fool, because Phoenix Rising is new baby bird, wings wet, ready to take on the world. You're ready for a new adventure. You've gone through, sort of the pain, the struggle, the grief of whatever the previous experiences was. You've got that wisdom, that information, that knowledge. You've got that with you, and you're ready for the next adventure. You're ready to take on something new. And you don't really know, because you've birthed yourself, you don't really know who you are. And so there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of, I like to say, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It's a complete reinvention. And so the first deck that I chose to kind of talk about that and to help with that is the Chrysalis Tarot. And this is by Holly Sierra and Tony Brooks. And I'm sorry, I don't have the box for it or whatever. I've had it for a few years now, and it's, it's a box within a box, but here we go. So the reason why I chose this deck is because it is, obviously the butterfly is also a similar symbol to the phoenix, representing that rebirth, coming into something new. But I chose it because this deck in particular is a little more innocent, a little lighter, a little fancy free. I often think of the Phoenix Rising phase as like the teenage phase, where you don't have enough experience to know what is dangerous or what is not a good idea, and so you're a little bit innocent, you're a little bit naive, and the sky's the limit. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. There were a lot of things I did in my teenage days and even into early 20s that, like, the adult side of me now would be like, oh hell no, never, like, I'm not going to do that because I'm seasoned now, right? But that teenage energy, that youthful energy, there's no holding back. They've renamed a lot of these, I should have pointed that out. They've renamed the elements. So scrolls is air or swords, spirals is wands, mirrors is cups. So we'll just kind of go through here. Here's the storyteller, the hermit. So I wanted a deck. I chose a deck from my collection that has that sort of youthful energy to it, and tells a story without having it be harsh and dun 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 all inside of it, but also tells a story in a way that allows you room to be able to create your own story as well, because that's really what the Phoenix Rising is all about, is creating that new story. And these cards all have sort of a key word connected to it. So King of Scrolls is the poet. And I really like that energy, because when we are in a Phoenix Rising phase, everybody talks about Phoenix Rising and it's the most exciting, phase to be in. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, simply because here, Stones is pentacles. We have the acrobat, the page of stones. So flexibility, movement, moving around, changing your shape. I think that's really interesting. The Phoenix Rising can be fun because it is the opportunity to reinvent yourself, but it also can be really uncomfortable when you don't know who you are. You don't know what you like and what you don't like. You don't know any longer what lights your fire and floats your boat, or what can soothe you, what kind of self-care you need, what lights your fire and what fills your love cup as well. So there is that innocence of that naivete. And this deck in particular, I feel, doesn't have harsh imagery. It tells a story, but then it leaves room for the imagination. It allows you, as the phoenix rising, to be able to create your own story with it, to be able to write the backstory, and to vision what you would like for the future. This is a US Games deck. It is I want to say slightly larger than normal tarot sized, only slightly. The deck quality is excellent. It's a little thicker than the traditional US Games tarot, which is fantastic. We have a reversed back, which is great, and it's all bordered. We have this beautiful border. So it's got a little bit of, I want to say it's got some ancient wisdom energy in there. It's got some, I want to say, fable and myth and folklore in it. But again, I'm going to say the storyline is enough that it brings you into the present. It brings you into the now. The Muse, Queen of Spirals, it invokes imagination. And that is like the most important thing, I would say, that you need when you are in that Phoenix rising phase, is imagination, giving yourself permission to not have all the answers, to not know exactly what is going to happen, exactly what is going to transpire, because you don't want to reinvent yourself to be exactly who you used to be. You can't be that anymore, right? It's about only moving forward. And I love this because it gives you the energy and the permission to bring some of the old and the ancient wisdom and to keep it lighter, to keep it a little more fantastical. Merlin is the hero here, which is the fool. And I love that. You would think he would be the magician, right? Merlin the magician, but actually he's the hero in the story, or the heroine. He is beginning a new journey, and he's magical. And we are magical. So we can tap into that magic in order to facilitate and create our next experience, our next adventure, the next chapter. Gaia, the Empress, makes total sense, right? Mother Earth energy. So, and Victory, Six of Spirals. So I love this card deck when I am, in that space of needing to throw some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. When I don't know exactly where I'm going and growing, what the purpose of this all is quite yet. And maybe I need a little bit of encouragement. Maybe I need a little bit of courage or bravery in order to be able to move forward and to try new things, to be, to give myself permission to, make mistakes, to do things not exactly, right or perfect. And this is a deck that I feel really embodies the characteristics of this, because it's super helpful. Here's the Magician, Ravens. And I love that we just have the all-seeing eye and these two ravens. Ravens are really powerful creatures, as above, so below. They're here on the, sort of the middle world, and they're also in the lower world, and they can communicate in the upper world, in the heavens. And so they're very magical. They're messengers. And when we have that Magician card, they really give you the bravery and the I'm hearing the word chutzpah. They're giving you the chutzpah, or the fierceness, the let's just go do this. I'm feisty enough that I'm just going to do this. So that is our first deck for the Phoenix Rising. And our second deck that I chose, a tarot deck, is the Four Tails Tarot. Now, I have featured this on my channel a number of times, actually, but this was hands down the one that kept calling to me. And so when we're talking about that fool's journey and we're talking about the Phoenix Rising, again, we don't know, like our wings are still wet. We don't know who we are. And because it is a time of experimentation and exploration, we're bringing some of the old, some of who we used to be, into the mix, because we're still trying to shed it. We're mourning it. We're, removing it. But we are also trying to incorporate the new. And The Four Tails Tarot is a fantastic deck by Taroteka that gives us four different versions of the major arcana, the Fool's Journey. And so, there are four different emperors, there are four different hermits, there are four different high priestesses. And this is a fantastic deck when you are in that Phoenix Rising phase, because it shows different versions, different options. This is definitely let's throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and determine what feels good. So, perfect example here, we've got two chariots. So, let's just kind of take a peek. So, two very different approaches to the chariot. Here we have the horses being the focus, and the figure that is charging forth is in shadow in the background. So when I'm looking at this, the messaging here in terms of like movement forward and where the victory is going to be is in focusing on the opposites, bringing the black and the white, examining the extremes so that I can determine where I'm going and maybe find my middle. In this chariot, we are seeing a very determined individual who is, he's moving and shaking really fast. He's leaving something behind because he's ready for a new journey. He's got his trusty Sphinx with him, and he's got a lion energy. Again, dealing with that extremes, that sort of the black and the white being depicted here. But there's a lot of movement, and he's the focus. And we see a lot in the background that he's leaving behind. So two chariots with a very different energy. And quite frankly, okay, here we go. We've got two lovers cards. So let's take a look at this. Here we have a very different style, of lovers card, where it's kind of a bit monochromatic with a single sort of pop of color, single color influenced here. We have two individuals who definitely are in some kind of a loving embrace. They're out in under the moonlight at night. We've got the beautiful ravens and the crows. There's some harvest here. So you're definitely feeling the connection to choosing one another, the reflection of each other, getting lost in each other. Here we have another lovers where they are, in bed with each other. So you're seeing the intimacy of the lovers card, the intimacy of these two individuals. There's a huge snake that is wrapped around them. So in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the snake is usually in the tree behind the woman. Well, now we have the snake that's actually in the bed with them. The snake is sharing in the intimacy. Snakes often represent wisdom. And so there is a wisdom that they are sharing. Snakes also are about transformation. And so when we talk about that Phoenix Rising energy, the two lovers, two becoming one, the energies blending and melding creates a transformational energy, two becoming one, the alchemy of what is transpiring. So you can see that you're getting two different messages from these cards. We'll just keep flipping some over. So there's, we've got a black and white version in the deck. We've got different stylistic features here. You can see the artwork is different, so it evokes different energy. And these cards, just quite frankly, are just gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. I want to see, did we pull that? No, we didn't. I thought we might have pulled a Temperance. Just to show some juxtaposition here, but here's a High Priestess. So this deck in particular, here's two Hanged Men. This deck really helps when you are in that space of don't really know who I am, don't really know what I like right now, don't really know what I'm, wanting to become, how I'm wanting to show up in the world. This is a card deck that's going to be excellent for, I like to say it's like that extreme makeover where you try on all the different coats, sizes, shapes, colors, patterns, materials. Try all of it on because you're going to get a sense very quickly of what works for you and what doesn't. And we look at the Hanged one here, the Hanged Man. This guy is feeling relaxed. He's looking like he's just chilling like a villain. He doesn't necessarily have a ton of enlightenment around his head. He's kind of in the process of that, but we see the enlightenment that is shining upon him. He's in the clouds, so he's in that ascension process. There are some birds that are, helping him out, so he's not alone in this path. In this deck, he's hanging from his arms. This is not comfortable. This is painful. So he's resisting a lot of the, I want to say, the surrender component of the Hanged Man card. But he is being enlightened in the process of this. So the moon is the enlightenment right behind him. He's also in the clouds, but we are seeing some water. His feet are not in the water. He's hanging or dangling above the water. And it looks like he's got bindings on his wrist, but he's not actually bound to the stick, where he's hanging. So he could literally jump off at any time. So this feels a bit self-imposed. The black and white of it is also really interesting because it's in stark contrast to what we're seeing here with the colors. This has a softer energy to it. This has a bit of a harsher energy to it, putting a fine point on things, the details of things. So yeah, I just really enjoy this this card deck when we're talking about that Phoenix Rising, because it really gives you a number of different options. Which card do I lean into more? Which card feels the most like me right now? Because on the Fool's Journey, we all have these aspects. These are all archetypes for us in our world. Oh, here's 2 emperors. Great. It's almost like I stacked this deck, but I really didn't. And here I'll just show a third one because I also pulled this one into the mix as well. So you can see 3 different ones. I just really love this deck because there's just so much variety in it. It's the perfect thing to represent this card. Taroteka does it right. All of the card backs are reversible. It is that beautiful rose petal finish, which I think is just fabulous. These cards are delicious to work with, delicious to shuffle, delicious to touch. And they really, I want to say they really show the colors very well. This one is a little more futuristic. This one is a little more storyteller-like. And of course, we have the black and white. So yeah, I love this. And Taroteka really does it right. Oh, and here we have the 4th. We have the Emperor, number 4. So let me just reconfigure these and we can show you all of the options. Love this. Oh my goodness. This tells me right now this is the right deck to choose. So you can see the different styles here. And this one is very confident. You see a lot of enlightenment around him. That fiery energy is represented in a more obvious way, more traditionally. The fire here is in the background. The fire here is in the background. No fire really at all here other than the hints of the light coming from behind. Which I think is really interesting. They're showing a lot of symbolism here. We've got the Aries sign. Here we have the Aries sign. Here there is no obvious Aries signs at all. And here we're not seeing an Aries sign. So you can see there's just different configurations. And I think that's fantastic. So I highly recommend that Four Tails Tarot. When you are in that Phoenix Rising, I think this is a deck that is perfect to embody the energy of the Phoenix Rising. And it's a fantastic deck to work with. I absolutely love it. Okay, and I have 2 Oracle decks. The first one that I chose here for the Fool card, for the Phoenix Rising phase is Alana Fairchild's Sacred Rebels Oracle. This deck has been with me for a long, long time. This is one of the very first Oracle decks that I purchased for myself on my journey. It's seen some... It's seen some love and some life, but I thought this was, really the perfect deck to talk about the Phoenix Rising, because that Sacred Rebels in general basically says, hey, you don't have to do anything like anybody else. In fact, this particular phase is encouraging you to think outside the box. It's encouraging you to do things differently, because if you want the same result over and over again, then do the same thing. But when we've gone through that Phoenix burning, the Phoenix growing, the Phoenix emerging, and we come out the other side, Phoenix rising, there's no going backwards. It's a new you. There's only forward to go. And this is a deck that encourages that. So bring it into form. Dream a beautiful dream. There's so much sacred geometry in the cards here. The coloring is beautiful. It's a little shinier than I'd like, but it is an older style deck. It is a blue angel, so larger cards. The card stock is really good. Check out the backs of these. I mean, it's just fantastic. And the artist is, let me see if I get her. Oh yeah, Autumn Sky Morrison, and I believe she's Canadian. But her artwork is just incredible. Take a look at this. This is one of my favorites. Releasing Allegiances. She's got these bees all over her. She's in kind of a self-comforting mode. The bees are around her. They're not stinging her. It feels like, okay, I need to reconnect to myself and source. I need to release the attachment to my previous existence, to my previous identity, because it is time to move forward. Tens, new beginnings based on an already established foundation. Big, bold vision. So here we have hints of the Egyptian energy, so ancient energy that is here to support you. We have the scarab beetle, which is a symbol of transformation. We have a bee, worker bee, giving life, producing, creating something new, being a part of the hive, a part of the community. So really encouraging that shift and that change. And I wouldn't say that this deck is always comforting, but I will say to you, it's always going to give you the truth, the perfection of your life, free from judgment, free to love. I love the use of color in this deck as well. The colors I feel really tap into a lot of the sort of the chakra energy that is associated with the messaging as well. Spirals of manifestation, lots of heart related energy here. How we are connecting our heart space. Legacy of light. This is the this similar imagery to the back of the card, as well as what is on the front of the box. Oops, sorry. Shock of the new. So it really gives you messaging that, like, it makes sense when you've been through, you're going through a Phoenix rising. She's got sunflowers on one side of her head. She's got music coming out the other. There's a throat chakra energy here. One eye looks different than the other eye. One is a different color than the other eye. Like, she's really just reinventing herself. And this deck really supports that reinvention. What is already with you? What do you feel? The word wants to be written. Visions of life beyond death. So, this has been around for a long, long time. I'm sure a lot of you watching this have probably seen this deck before, but this is a deck that's in my in my collection. I love this. Be the hunter, not the hunted. It's been in my collection for a long time. It'll never leave me. This is a deck that I still pull out on a pretty regular basis. I love this. In the world, but not of it. Against the grain. Like, she's flying, but she's flying in the sea. So, like, there's imagery that kind of like messes with your head a little bit, like you have to really think about it. And I think that's great. Defend to the end the worthwhile. So this really, the imagery in it, it's larger, it's bolder, the messaging is in your face. It encourages you to think outside the box, to do things very differently. And that is very much a Phoenix rising energy. And it's going to support you when you're in that Phoenix rising phase, because it makes the changes and the shifts fun. Even if it's not always sunshine and daisies, wine and roses, it's still a more enjoyable way to be. And our final deck for this Phoenix rising phase is Lisa Lister's Self Sorcery Oracle. And this is a fairly new deck to me. It's a Hay House. But this just screamed to me, like it was calling out to me, like, don't you dare forget me. Don't you dare leave me on the shelf for this video. The card deck, the card stock is exceptional. It's a thicker cardstock. They're actually, even though it's an oracle deck, they're the same size as a tarot deck, which I think is really cool. It's not reversible, but check out how fun this imagery is. So, we have the snake, but the snake is all full of love. The snake is full of hearts. It's got that sort of cartoonish feel. The artistry is delightful, bold, bright colors. Listen to this message here: forever in process and progress. So this is definitely an empowering deck. Look at all of the colors. She's got the red hair. You can see that she's going through a metamorphosis. The butterfly has 1,000,001 different colors on it as well. I hear her calling, like, listen to the call, the call of the goddess, returning. This is like tribal, divine feminine, sometimes even divine feminine warrior. And the message is really like packs a punch, like cultivate courage. It's very clear. It's very direct. You can't mistake what it's trying to convey. And, the words in the book, her writing in the book is fantastic. I love that. Her writing is very irreverent, which I love. Irreverence. I love straight to the point. I love modern, modern speak. Like, she writes like she talks. That's how I am in my writings as well. And so I can really appreciate that. And I just feel like when we're talking about that Phoenix rising, sometimes we really need a little kick in the ass. Sometimes we need a reminder that it's okay to be different, to walk a different path than the path that you walked before. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. The fool says, I don't want to do what was already done. I want to do something different. And yes, there's some naivete. Yes, there is some I want to say maybe a little trepidation around, I don't know what is next to come. But this deck says, let your heart be your compass. It encourages you. It says, you got this. Just focus on all the colors of life. Focus on the goodness in life. Life has not dropped you off the edge of the cliff yet. You've had some interesting journeys, some interesting hikes, and maybe you've fallen a little bit, but you're still alive. You're still breathing. Underneath it all, you're still here. And it's an adventure. Know that you know. So this deck is just, I want to say it's just really perfect when we are talking about that Phoenix rising energy and who am I choosing to become? You have the power to choose. And it uses the symbology. So, that's helpful too. I want to say on a subconscious level, it triggers or activates things within the subconscious to bring to the forefront. But I want to say it activates the good stuff. Let your body remember. The body keeps the score. So instead of releasing it, or instead of resisting it, choose to remember. Choose to make it work for you. Return to the temple. Reminders of things that we need to do, like going back to your rituals, going back to when life gets crazy, reclaim your center. Go back to the things that you know inherently and do them differently. What do you long for? She's in a bubble bath. This is time to reflect. What is it that you're really desiring? Creative force as source. Oh, she's awesome. She looks like a Wonder Woman kind of figure. I like that. Speak your truth. So yes, this definitely, I want to say, is a really great, almost like textbook definition of a deck that is going to embody the messages and the level of support required for a Phoenix rising phase that you're going through, or that anyone is going through, quite frankly. All right, guys. So that is our Divinely Decked for this segment. And, as you guys know, I love being a part of this community. I love sharing these decks with you. Would love to start a dialogue. Feel free to put any comments in here about the decks that I chose, whether you liked them, whether you didn't, if there are any decks that you would recommend when you're going through that Phoenix energy. Would love to find out about that. I am now offering memberships through my YouTube channel. So if you are interested, I've got 3 different options for us to stay connected and to I want to say be able to support you in more ways, in deeper ways. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to like, subscribe, click the bell, and hit the join button to connect in those ways. All right, guys, until we see you for another episode, take care and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.